Hello and welcome to Paradise Wildlife Park. My name is Aaron, I'm joined by our head keeper James and the biggest animals that we have here at Paradise. So I'm pretty sure most people would know what these are. These are our camels. But James, what species of camels are these?
So we have Bactrian camels here, and so these are the ones with two humps. So you can see we have three of them. We have Bashira, and then we have Mo, and we have Navas. And now Bashira is our oldest. She is our female of the group. And then we've got the two boys here with us. So you've got Navas just behind, and we've got Mo who's up on his feet and having a wander around the enclosure. So yeah, these are Bactrian camels. So you can tell a Bactrian camel from its humps. They have two humps, where there's a species of camel called the dromedary, which have one hump. So the easiest way you can remember is if you was actually to tip this camel on its bum, the two humps spell out for B for Bactrian. If you had a dromedary camel, just one hump, you tip that on its bum, the one hump would spell out a D for dromedary. Okay, so they're the two different types of camels that you have. The Bactrian camels are also actually, there's two different types. There's the wild and domesticated Bactrian camels. So we have obviously domesticated Bactrian camels over time. As in captivity now, it's mostly what you see. But over in Mongolia, in the Gobi Desert, where these guys come from, you actually have the wild Bactrian camel, which is actually critically endangered. And they are only believed to be around about 700 to 1,000 of wild Bactrian camels left in the wild. So these guys are an ambassador for their species, just for education purposes, so we can help educate you guys about the camels, so you can actually see what these guys get up to. Now the two boys here that I have either side of me, so I say we have Navas, and then we have Mo. Now these guys are they're young adolescent boys, so they're big playful creatures. They like to play fight with each other. They are half brothers, so you'll see them wrestling, but they are a bit of a troublemakers as well. Mo here is actually probably the biggest troublemaker. When we're in here cleaning the enclosure, he likes to kick the bucket around, but we'll have Mo and Navas here. I'll come round the back of it. We'll have Mo and Navas here. They both like to play with each other, where unfortunately they do like to try and wind up Bashira, and where she's older, she doesn't really want to participate in any play fighting that these guys will do. Now you can see here they've got a big thick coat on them. Now this is actually starting to come away, so they actually molt out all this coat every year. So in the Gobi Desert where they come from, it's about 6 months of the year, very hot temperature. It can be up to 40 degrees Celsius, and then 6 months of the year it can actually be almost like minus 30, minus 40 degrees Celsius as well. So they have a real big change. So you can actually see just here in my hands that actually the hair is just slowly coming out, and this is actually because where he's molting now, ready to go for the summer coat. So all of this big thick coat is all going to come out, and they're going to come right down to almost like a small little fine coat, a bit like a head of hair like myself really, and where it actually goes nice and thin, and it comes down to help them to survive in these really hot summers that they would have in Gobi Desert, not what we have here in the UK. Now camels here are strict herbivores, so once again they eat all plant matter, lots of hay, lots of straw. In the wild they eat really dry plants, thorny plants. They have really hardy lips, so you can actually sometimes see these guys eating like thistles or eating stinger nettles, and actually aren't really too bothered by them. So you can see like the big lips here, and they have the whiskers, and you actually see he's got a split in the top lip, which they actually use to move a bit like fingers to help guide the branches into their mouths, so they can actually pick off the leaves and the twigs that gets them around any of the thorny materials on any of these thorny dry bushes. Now, as I say, a lot of people, they have the two humps. A lot of people think camels actually store water in these humps, but camel hump does not contain water. A camel hump is made up of fat. So camels have the great opportunity where they can almost eat anything and will turn anything to fat. So all this dry plant matter, they'll eat really dry, not much nutritional plant matter in the deserts, and they are able to eat all that and turn it to and store it into fat into these humps. They have special cells in that fat, which actually allows them to store water. So a camel can actually go up to 2 weeks without drinking water if they fill up all into one at one time. So they are very well designed for their habitat and well designed for the areas they live in. And I say camels now have been kept in captivity for many years, and that's why there's a slight difference between domesticated Bactrian camels like our guys here to wild Bactrian camels. And the problems what is happening with the wild Bactrian camels and why their numbers are dying is once again due to habitat encroachment by domestic livestock. Also, due to unfortunately cross inbreeding with wild Bactrian camels and domestic Bactrian camels, Navas here is just moving around and wants us to see every part of him. Yeah, it's inbreeding between the two types of Bactrian camels. So unfortunately, the pure wild Bactrian camels genes are slowly losing out. It's a bit like the Scottish wildcat that we have in the UK, where they're breeding with domesticated cats, and their numbers are their pure genetics are starting to lose, which is a real issue. And this is because over years, where the domesticated Bactrian camel have been kept in captivity, there's been slight changes. Their nature has changed. The way they act. If we come around this way, and we'll just get to see a bit of their faces again. Yeah, so the way they behave is slightly different. Wild Bactrian camels can be a bit more aggressive, a bit more spooked animals than the actual domesticated ones, because the domesticated ones have been brought up around humans, obviously being domesticated. So there's a few different sizes wise. The size of their humps are slightly different as well. So yeah, that's why the pure genes are slowly thinning out in the wild. But they are fantastic. People do ride camels. Now, unfortunately, I say there are some parts of the world where you can ride camels. It's one of them things that always do make sure you just look into the company and bits like that you are going to see and ride the camels, because obviously welfare can be jeopardized in these type of things. So if you try and make sure you do some research, make sure they are actually a well representable company, instead of just somebody with loads of camels, and actually can have issues with them there as well. Now, the camels, they are part of a family called the camelid family. So there are actually other members of this camelid family. So we already spoke about the two different types of camels, but camels are also related to alpacas, llamas. Have a species called a vicuna and a guanaco as well. So these are the other members of the camelid family that you can find across the world. Now, camels, as I say, in their habitat, they would come across other animals that they would live with. So sometimes you see other camels in other collections around the UK. You will sometimes see them living with other animals, because they can actually, when they're in their big herds, they will interact with other animals that would come across naturally in the wild. And he has just found a really dry twig that he didn't actually like, so he spat that back out. Now, a lot of people know as camels is actually when they feel threatened. Everyone's always like, "Oh, camels spit. Camels are horrible. They spit. They're horrible animals because of this." Now, camels will only spit at you if they feel threatened, if they're angry, or they're trying to tell you off. And they'll bring up a bit of saliva. But when they feel really threatened, what I think is quite cool, but some people might think it's actually quite disgusting, and they won't just spit. They actually bring up almost like the contents of their stomach. They almost vomit on you. Yeah, it's I think it's pretty cool. But I say, probably day-to-day people being vomited on by a camel is probably not the coolest thing. It does smell really badly, and trust me, you'll want to have a wash afterwards as well.
Now, even though obviously this is such a big species, can they move fairly quickly?
Yeah, they do. They can move quite quickly, and that's one of the reasons why people have domesticated camels over thousands of years. Both the dromedary and the Bactrian. It's because, especially on the sandy terrains, they move very quickly. They're well designed for it. So you might be able to see the big feet they have of theirs, which is like big pads. So they spread their weight out over the sand. This allows them to get good traction with the ground, where like people used to ride horses and try to take the horses out into the desert. Horses having the small narrower hooves, they used to just sink in the bigger thicker sand areas, where the camels would spread their weight out and they could actually travel quicker than horses could do in their own area on a decent area, hard ground that a horse could run on. Horses are faster, but on deserty terrain, the camels would actually be much quicker than these guys.
And obviously, just looking at the sheer size of them, is there much of a size difference between this species and the dromedary?
Yes, there are different size differences. There are you do have to be careful on the sizes. Dromedary camels are quite large, but also the big male Bactrians get even bigger than this. These guys are castrated males, so they're not going to get as big as they could do. But you can get dromedary males get large, very large as well. Unfortunately, once again, around the world there has actually been people where they have bred Bactrian and Andromedy together. They could breed, but obviously it's unnatural. It's not ideal, and there has been people that have got these giant camels, which is because they're actually hybridized between the two, which I say isn't natural. They don't come from the same habitats, but yeah, it's people have done it out there.
Can you just talk a little bit about how we obviously manage the camels here at Paradise, just to give people a bit of an idea as to the welfare and the work that keepers do for big species of animals like this?
Yeah, so obviously, as you can see, we work very closely with our camels here at the park, which, as I say, I've worked with these guys now for quite a few years, and we're always trying to expand as much as possible for our camels. So if we squeeze on past, as lovely as his bum is, we'll come past this way, and we'll actually, so you can see their faces. As say, the bums are cute, but yeah, so I say we're always looking at trying to expand the area as much as possible. So if people have visited Paradise Wildlife Park for many years now, you may have actually realised that the enclosure is about has grown considerably over all these years, and this is just to encourage and improve the quality of their life as much as possible, and also because the amount of camels we've actually increased them to as well. They've had a big interest in Aaron there, but yeah, so we also have a nice big sandy paddock to make it as natural as possible. Underneath this we have a concrete area, so once again it doesn't get too boggy in the winter months, and it dries out nicely to be a nice sandy area for them during the rest of the year. Now we do have grass paddocks that we do let them onto, but as I say, naturally these guys come from really dry terrains, so nice lush rich green grass that we have can actually cause issue once again with them if they have too much of it. It can give them a bit of a diarrhea and bits like that, so we have to manage them on that. It's not an outfit, they should have them all the time, because say naturally they wouldn't have lush green grass like what we have. It's very dry, thorny, not poorly nutritioned grass, but I say where we have very lush green grass next to them, so we manage them on that. The camels also here get fed twice a day at the moment, but we can change that in the summer months when they're increasing their body weight, up to 3 times a day. We do weigh in once a month as well. Now they all have their own different personalities, so as you can see Bashira behind us, she's just hasn't bothered, just kept herself to herself. She's enjoying a little bit of shade there. She's probably our camel that actually doesn't really enjoy the heat that much. She prefers to have a bit of shade to hide in. But say she is our oldest camel. She's keeping herself away from the 2 active boys. Then we have the 2 boys here. Now the 2 boys are very good at weighing, and we will get them onto the scale so we can weigh them regularly to make sure they stay nice and healthy. So as you see behind us at the moment, they're weighing in around about 700 kilos. So as Aaron said, they are the biggest animals on the park. Bashira being the biggest, she's actually not a big fan of being weighed. She doesn't like me actually knowing her body weight, which can't blame her. And but then she has, but the 2 boys don't mind it, and they will come on as well to actually allow us to weigh them once a month.
And just finally, obviously, people might be thinking to themselves, this is a desert species, how do they cope with the British climate?
Yeah, so they are desert species, but these guys are actually a domesticated Bactrian camel, and our 3 have actually all been born and bred in the UK, so they've climatised to the British weather as much as you can climatise to the British weather. It changes all the time, so they've climatised to it, and as I say, they do have their big, thick, woolly coat, which they will molt out in the summer months, still, even though it doesn't get as hot in the wild as it would in their natural habitat. So we will groom it out to aid them with this. But they don't mind it too much. We do actually put a hose on, so on the hot summer days, when we do open up, and hopefully you guys can come back and enjoy the sunny days with us, sometimes you actually see us actually setting up the hose, giving them a good shower. They do love to get underneath the hose and enjoy having a shower under there, keeping themselves cool. We also make ice lollies for them, because naturally in the wild they would actually eat blocks of ice as well, so we will make them fruity ice lollies for them to enjoy as well. And you can actually see behind that we have actually given them some leafy treats as well. As we were saying, how we look after them, we give them a lot of browse. This gives them some of the fibre that they need.
Now, obviously, James was touching upon obviously how they've acclimatised to the British weather, but he did also touch upon how they'd actually eat ice naturally. Obviously, this may be confusing because they come from deserts, but the climate can actually change drastically just in the period of a day. When you're in the desert, it can be boiling hot in the middle of the day, then actually in some cases below zero at night. So that's another reason as to why camels are fairly well adapted just to the British climate, just because we're pretty standard, really. We don't really have too much of a fluctuation compared to other parts of the world or where these guys would naturally come from. But as you can see, they're just enjoying some browse at the moment, so we're going to leave them to do that. We hope that you guys have obviously enjoyed watching this video. Hopefully you've learned a lot about camels that you may not have known before, and hopefully you want to come and visit our boys at some point soon as well. That'd be awesome. And of course Bashira. But obviously one thing that is really key in this pandemic is that everyone is staying home and staying safe. So please make sure you're doing that. Obviously, to help us raise awareness about this critically endangered species, if you could share this video just because it spreads the word about them, that'd be absolutely fantastic. Obviously, whilst this pandemic is going on, we're all going to be here taking care of the animals because obviously they need looking after in this obviously very scary time for everyone. But one thing that is obviously a bit of a problem is the fact that we don't have any income here at the wildlife park at the moment. This is obviously due to the pandemic, but it is still costing us thousands of pounds to take care of the animals every day. So if anyone is willing to help us just with obviously taking care of the animals, please visit our Just Giving page, which is justgiving.com, and then Animal Support Fund. Oh, sorry, or our website pwpark.com, and if you're willing to make any donations to that, that'd be absolutely fantastic. But in the meantime, please stay home and stay safe, and we look forward to seeing you at Paradise when this is all over. So take care, everyone.
Take care, guys.